Running Duplicati as a Docker container can be one hell of a headache if you're trying to use it to back up multiple areas of multiple drives, so to speak. You can see over here on my left, I have a backups drive, a restore drive, and we also have a games drive, which I'm not actually using for games at this point. But what I wanted Duplicati to do was to take my entire backups drive over here and back this whole thing up to a point on the restore drive. And then I also wanted to take part of my games drive here in the Docker folder and automatically back up my Docker compose files and all the other files that go with them on a regular basis, just in case something happens, because you know it will. But I ran into the problem that Duplicati could not use FTP properly, and it kept telling me it couldn't access my mounted drives. So what you have to do is actually make a Docker compose file, and I have one here for you. Follow this to a T, and you'll be fine. This is exactly how you make it see the drives as needed. So first of all, just go ahead and copy everything I've got on my screen here. And then when you come down here to the settings encryption key, you can set that to whatever you want. That is your personal encryption key. And the Duplicati web service password, set that to whatever password you want to use to log into the Duplicati service as a web container. The volumes, this is where you're actually going to be working all the magic on this, because you can see here my first one is media, which is where Ubuntu mounts drives currently, and then my username, and then games 2 is this games hard drive right here, and then Docker Duplicati config, and that tells it that that is the configuration folder for Duplicati. This next one I name specifically. It is the Media Giovanni Games 2 Docker folder that I want backed up. And in Duplicati, I want that to be called Docker Source. That way I know exactly what I'm looking for when I go to find it. Then the next one, we have the Media Giovanni Restore Backups, which is my drive backups. That's the whole drive that I want backed up. And then we have Media Giovanni Restore Docker Backups, which is where I want everything from the Docker source will end up getting backed up to Docker Backups at that mount location. So what you need is one volume that tells it where you're going to be pulling from, the source, and another volume mount to tell Duplicati where you're sending the files to. So you need a to and a from for every single one of these that you're going to use. And then you can come over here and see my Duplicati. I've already got one set up, but then if I go to add a new one, we can add a backup, and we will name this backup drive, and backup entire drive. I'm going to leave it at no encryption for now because we're just doing a demonstration here. Choose file system. And then you can see right here is the complete file system. But what I'm looking for, oh look, there's the Docker backups, there's the Docker source, there's drive backups. Well, that's what I need is drive backups. That's what I'm wanting to back up. Go ahead and test it. And then the source data, I'm sorry, I think I just did that backwards on you. So this one is your backup destination. So, yeah, nope, we do. We want the drive backups. Test, because drive backups, back over here, drive backups is in the restore, which is where I want to send everything to. So you'll select that as your destination, and then on the source, you're going to select, nope, that one is not showing up for me for some reason. Source, I believe it is for that one. Yep. My Media Giovanni Backups 2 drive is labeled just source. And that's what we want backed up, is that entire drive. I'm going to set that to every 3 days at about 4 in the morning, because I'm not up at that point. I'm too old. We'll start it tomorrow. You can set the remote volume size to whatever. I tend to leave it at 50 megabytes per file. That way it's just a nice small file and not overly cluttered. I don't want to keep all backups, so I'm going to keep a specific number. And we're only going to keep 2 sets of backups for that drive. That way if it fails, I have 2 sets of it. And there you go. Now I've got one that is for my entire drive of backups for my family's, pictures, videos, what have you, and I've got one for my Docker files, my Docker composes, that I can also back up on a regular basis using the Duplicati Docker. Hopefully this is going to help some people, because I struggled for a while fighting with this thing until I figured out the Docker compose and how to actually set up each one of those volumes like that, to where it lists it in Duplicati rather than trying to type each one out in Duplicati and then Duplicati saying, oh, that doesn't exist. We can't access that, even though it's clearly there. You have to set it up in the Docker Compose YML.